in this video, we are going to discuss the questions that were asked from the topic Network Threats and Security Measures in NTA UGC NET December 2020 and June 2021 merge cycles. So, as you all know, this particular area comes under the module ICT. And if you consider this particular topic specifically, that is network, we have a lot of topics or a lot of areas that comes under this topic, that is network. So basically we have the various types of networks, which includes the peer-to-peer network, then we have the client-server network, then we have the common phrases or names that we already know, like the local area network, and then we have the wide area network. All these areas comes under this particular topic. And also we have network topologies that we have to study, and also we have certain areas like the internet and intranet, how these two networks are different from each other, what is extranet. These are some of the areas that we have to study under this particular topic. And another important area that we have to focus on is the network related threats as well as the network security measures. So why I have already mentioned all these topics is basically because if you are preparing by yourself, make sure that when you are considering this particular topic, that network, you are covering all these topics that I have already mentioned. So basically, as I have already mentioned in the beginning of this video, we'll be focusing on this particular area in this session. So I have just taken some of the sample questions, and we'll be focusing on those sample questions that were asked from this particular area, that is network threats and security measures. And particularly these questions are asked in NTA UGC NET December 2020 and June 2021 merge cycles. So here you have the first question. What is anti-spyware software? And we have the options: checks files before they are loaded on a computer, manages the data traffic, it detects and removes programs installed illegally on a user's computer system, and finally makes the files non-readable. So basically the question asks us to find out the proper definition, or what you mean by this anti-spyware software. So when it comes to anti-spyware, you can easily understand that this is basically a software that is a protection against spyware, right? Or these kinds of softwares actually prevents spyware to attack your computers or your system in general. So if that's the case, first and foremost, what we have to know here is what do you mean by spyware. So that is the first understanding that we need here. And if you know what is spyware, then answering this question is a very easy task for you. So we'll be first looking at the term spyware. What do you mean by spyware? So spyware is loosely defined as a malicious software designed to enter your computer device, gather data about you, and forward it to a third party without your consent. So basically, if you consider this definition that is given here, you can say that spyware is actually doing the activity, or it is actually doing the thing a spy actually does. So that is what we can understand here. So these are basically malicious softwares, and these are actually installed, or it is designed to enter your computer device without your knowledge. And that's why we call it as it is illegitimately installed in your computer device, and it actually gathers the data about you, and it will be forwarding that data to a third party, and that too without your consent. So basically it is illegitimately installed in your computer without your knowledge, and it is actually collecting data on how you are using this particular device, what are your online activities. All these things will be properly spied or watched by this particular software. And these data that is gathered, the data regarding the activities that you're doing in your computer device, that will be forwarded to a third party, and that too without your consent. So that is what a spyware usually does. If that's the case, if you're coming to this question basically focuses on what is anti-spyware software. So basically anti-spyware software, what does this particular software do? So it actually prevents the activities of a spyware in your computer device, that you know. So if you know what is a spyware, then answering this question will be easier for you. If you consider the options here, we have checks files before they are loaded on a computer, manages the data traffic, it detects and removes programs installed illegally on a user's computer system, and finally we have the option makes the files non-readable. So from what you have learned about spyware, you can easily answer that Option C is the right answer for this question. Why? It detects and removes programs installed illegally on a user's computer system. So basically, it focuses. What does a spyware do? It actually installs, or these are programs or softwares that are illegally installed in your computer device, and it gathers data about your activities, and it is forwarding that data to a third party without your consent. So basically, when we are using an anti-spyware software, it actually detects these kinds of illegally installed programs in your computer system, and it will be removing it as well. So the right answer for this question is option C itself. Moving to the next question. Which of the following statements about antivirus software are correct? So again, this is basically focusing on the security measures that are related to network. So the first question again, the first question that we have focused was about anti-spyware, and this is about antivirus software. So basically, these are certain measures or certain measures that we can use in order to protect our online activities or our computer device in general. So basically, this comes under the security measures that are associated with network. So virus is basically a term that is very familiar, very common among us. So all of us know what is a virus. So basically, antivirus softwares are used in order to prevent the activities of virus in your system, right? So anyway, even if we know what is a virus, we will be just looking at that, what do you mean by virus in a very proper way, in a theoretical way. So basically, viruses are pieces of software designed to spread from one computer device to another. So these viruses can actually spread from one computer to another, and mostly they are downloaded from particular websites or sent as email attachments with the intent of infecting your computer as well as other computers on your contact list through systems on your network. So basically, it can infect the computers that is in contact with you. That is what a virus does, right? So it can actually spread from one computer to another. And also, how can these viruses can be downloaded, or how is it coming to our devices? It can be downloaded from particular websites, and also it can be sent as email attachments. When it comes to email attachments, the basic intent is to infect the computer as well as other computers on a contact list. So that happens to the system of, or the systems in the same network. So that is how the virus infects the various computers that are connected in a network. And what are the issues, or what are the problems that can be caused by a virus when when your computer is infected with virus? They can disable your security settings, send spam, steal and corrupt data from your computer, and even delete every single thing on your hard drive. So these are some of the after effects of, or these are some of the after effects when a virus is affected, or your computer system is affected by virus. So it can actually disable the security system, it can actually send spams from your email, and also it can steal and corrupt your data, and also at times it can delete all the information that you have saved in your hard drive as well. So coming back to your question, now you know what you mean by this virus, and in usual case we all having, or we came across these kinds of antivirus software when we use these laptops or your computers in general. So you know what antivirus software does in a computer system. Anyway, if you consider the options here, we have problem files or programs are quarantined and can be automatically removed. Check all files before being loaded or run. Use a database to identify potential risk. Use for data authenticity. If you consider the options here, we can say that option A is a right answer for this question, or this statement is about antivirus software, right? Problem files or programs are quarantined and can be automatically removed. So if any of the files or programs is detected to be infected by virus, it will be quarantined and it will be automatically removed by the antivirus software. Coming to option B, that is check all files before being loaded or run. That is again true. If you're downloading, or if you're running a program, or if you are running a file in your system, it is actually checked by this antivirus software. That is again true. So it check all files before being loaded or run. Coming to option C, use a database to identify potential risks. So basically it is having a database which includes all the potential risks, and if this particular software finds any of these risks that is in the database, it will be detected. If it is affecting your computer, it will be detected and it will be removed. So it uses a database to identify potential risk. And coming to option D, used for data authenticity. It is not used for data authenticity. Antivirus software is nowhere related to data authenticity in that sense, but it actually uses, or it is used in order to detect whether your system is infected by virus, and it will be detecting these or it will be quarantining these particular problem files, and also it will be automatically removed. And also if you are loading or running any kind of programs in your system, all these files will be checked by antivirus software in order to make your system secure, and also it will be having a database in order to identify the potential risk as well. So A, B, C will be answers for this question, and D cannot be an answer for this question as well. So A, B and C only is option B. So obviously the right answer for this question is option B itself. Moving to the next question, again it is associated with a security measure that is associated with network, that is firewalls. So what are firewalls? And we have various options given here as well. Used for address translation in the network layer, used to store the network interface card, used for network congestion control, hardware or software that sits between a user's computer and an external computer. So first and foremost, we have to first identify what you mean by this firewall. So that is what we are going to look at first. So a firewall is a network security device that monitors incoming and outgoing network traffic and decides whether to allow or block specific traffic based on a defined set of security rules. So basically firewalls is functioning based on a specific set of rules, and it will be monitoring all the incoming and outgoing network traffics, and also it decides whether to allow or block a particular traffic. So basically it will be focusing, it will be looking at, it will be monitoring all the activities or all the outgoing and incoming network traffic that is associated with your system. So coming back to your question, the options if you consider here, we have various options like used for address translation in the network layer, used to store the network interface card, used for network congestion control, and hardware or software that sits between a user's computer and an external computer. So firewall is basically a security device which actually stands, or it actually sits between the user's computer and the external computer in order to protect your computer from any external activities or any external network traffic that is malicious in nature, right? So in that case, you can say that firewalls are basically hardwares or softwares that sits between a user's computer and an external computer. So it sits in between a user's computer and an external computer in order to check all, or in order to monitor all the incoming as well as the outgoing online traffics, and it will be deciding whether to allow or block the specific online traffics. So that is what a firewall does. So in that case, we can say that the right answer for this question is option D. So obviously the right answer is option D itself. Moving to the next question, the Trojan horses. So basically these Trojan horses are basically malicious, or they can be called as malwares, malicious softwares that can actually affect our system. So we have various options given here as well. Search automatically for an item on the internet, are viruses that can replicate themselves, a software that gathers information by monitoring, are malicious programs often disguised as legitimate software. So what do you mean by this Trojan horse? That is what we are going to look here, and then we'll be coming back to this question again. So you might be knowing this term, or you might heard this particular term Trojan horse somewhere else. This is basically a wooden horse that is said to have been used by Greece during the Trojan War, and it is actually used by the Greeks to enter the city of Troy and to win the war, or to destroy the city of Troy. So this is basically, this term is familiar in that sense. It is associated with the story that is associated with the Trojan War, and this particular term came to computing from that particular context itself. So if you consider Trojan horse in computing, it is basically a program that is downloaded and installed on a computer that appears harmless. So this is basically a software that is downloaded in your system and it seems harmless, but is in fact malicious. So it looks like a very legitimate, very harmless kind of a program, but it is actually malicious, and how you can detect whether your computer or your system is affected by Trojan horse, unexpected changes to computer settings and unusual activity, even when the computer should be idle, are strong indications that a Trojan is residing on a computer. So basically, if your computer is actually affected by this particular malicious program that is Trojan horse, then this computer settings will be unexpectedly changing and you can see certain activities that is unexpectedly happening in your system. So these are some of the signs through which you can identify that your computer is infected by Trojan horse. Back to the question, the Trojan horses. So from what we have learned so far, we have to identify the right option that we can associate with the question. So consider the options. Search automatically for an item on the internet, are viruses that can replicate themselves, a software that gathers information by monitoring, are malicious programs often disguised as legitimate software. So from what you have learned about Trojan horses, now you can identify the right option, right? So if you consider Trojan horses, what we had said, so basically Trojan horses are programs that seems or appears harmless, but they are malicious in nature. So in that case, we can consider option D as the right answer for this question. Are malicious programs often disguised as legitimate software? So the right answer for this question is obviously option D. Moving to the next question, which of the following is a special type of computer virus that fills a computer system with self-replicating information, clogging the system so that its operations are slowed or stopped? So the key term or the key word that you have to focus here is self-replicating information. So that is the key word that you have to focus here. So which is a computer virus that can actually replicate itself without any human interaction? That is what you have to identify in this particular question. So basically that is computer worms. Alright, so a computer worm is a type of malware that spreads copies of itself from computer to computer. A worm can replicate itself. It can self-replicate without any human interaction, and it does not need to attach itself to a software program in order to cause damage. So when it comes to computer worm, you have to focus on this particular key term that is given here. That is, it can replicate itself. It can self-replicate. That is a key word that we have to identify or associate with this particular computer malware, that is worm. So coming back to the question, what does this question focus on? Which of the following is a special type of computer virus that fills a computer system with self-replicating information, clogging the system so that its operations are slowed or stopped? So as I have already mentioned, if you have a focus on this particular key term, that is self-replicating information, the right answer for this question is obviously option C, that is work. So in this video, we have discussed one of the most important topics that comes under the module ICT, that is network. So as I have already mentioned, this is a very important topic when you consider the previous year question papers and the previous trends that we can identify in this particular module. So basically, we are having various areas that we have to consider under this topic. We have the various types of network, then we have the network topologies, then the topic that we have discussed today, that is network related threats and security measures. These are all important areas from NET's point of view. So when you consider this particular topic, make sure that you are covering all these aspects really well. So if you need this kind of very strategic or very systematic approach to your preparations, you can just join Appleby Academy. We have online as well as offline courses available here. So if you like to know more about our courses, you can just call to the number that is given in the description box. So thanks for watching and happy learning.